April 6th, 2026, 32 days in, and the air over Iran no longer belongs to Iran. It belongs to a 70-year-old machine that doesn't care about your air defenses, your rhetoric, or your last desperate drone salvos. It belongs to the B-52 stratofortress, and for the first time in this conflict, it flew over land. Not from standoff distance, not launching cruise missiles from the horizon. Over the country. That changes everything. Context first, because context is everything. For weeks, the strategic picture over Iran was methodical, systematic. Precision strikes peeling back Iran's integrated air defense network layer by layer. SAM batteries neutralized, radar installations gone dark, command nodes vaporized before they could issue a single order. ISR assets overhead around the clock, feeding targeting data into a kill chain that never slept. 11,000 targets struck. That number isn't a headline. That's a dismantling. Every IRGC commander watching that number climb understood what it meant. Not defeat, not yet, but the architecture of Iranian military power was being disassembled, bolt by bolt, in broad daylight and under cover of darkness. And through all of it, the B-52 waited. It didn't need to enter Iranian airspace while SAMs still had reach. That's not patience, that's sequencing. Degrade the threat environment first. Verify the suppression. Then, and only then, does the stratofortress move inland. That moment arrived. Isfahan. Night. Secondary explosions that rewrote the calculus. The footage released by President Trump on Truth Social doesn't require narration. Watch it once and you understand. A hardened underground ammunition depot in Isfahan, part of Iran's ballistic missile logistics network, receives a string of 2,000-pound bunker-penetrating munitions. The initial impacts are almost surgical. Then the secondaries begin. Not one, not two, cascading detonations, fireballs stacking on fireballs. The kind of light visible for miles, because what's burning isn't just steel and concrete, it's Iran's remaining missile production inventory. The components feeding ballistic missile programs, the stockpiles that were supplying drone launches against Gulf shipping. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs confirmed it. B-52s executed the first dedicated overland bomber missions of this conflict. No standoff weapons, weapons delivered directly into hardened facilities with total freedom of movement above. That last phrase matters most. Total freedom of movement. When a B-52 can fly over your country without fearing your surface-to-air systems, when its crew doesn't need to worry about what's reaching up to meet them, you don't have air defenses anymore. You have a map of things that used to be air defenses. The numbers don't lie. The launch rates do. Iranian ballistic missile and drone launch rates are down over 90% since the conflict began. Read that again. 90%. The Shahed drone swarms that once threatened Gulf shipping lanes degraded. The ballistic missile volleys that kept Patriot and THAAD batteries working double shifts reduced to what the Pentagon described as weakened volleys. The naval threat to the Strait of Hormuz, still present but operating on fumes. 150-plus IRGC naval vessels have been struck. The larger surface combatants hit by air-delivered munitions. The fast attack boats, the coastal harassment fleet Iran relied on to enforce its choke point leverage at Hormuz, engaged by A-10s, F-15Es, and F-16s, conducting strafing runs against craft too small and too fast for heavier systems. The strait remains contested, officially, but without the logistics depth to sustain that contest, without the missile stocks, without the drone production pipeline, without the command and control nodes that were coordinating it all, that contestation is theater. It's a position being held on inertia, not capability. And the B-52 is now methodically eliminating the inertia. The IRGC is fracturing. Watch what they admit. State media called the Isfahan strikes a minor hit on military sites. The IRGC simultaneously confirmed the loss of Major General Ishkahi, an advisor to the Chief of the General Staff. Those two statements cannot coexist in a functioning command structure. One is for the domestic audience. One escaped before the information controls could catch it. That gap between what the regime says and what IRGC officers are quietly confirming is the fracture line. Mass desertions reported within IRGC ranks. When your command bunkers are being struck repeatedly, when your generals are being eliminated, when the aircraft overhead carries 70,000 pounds of precision ordnance and your SAMs can no longer reach it, the calculation for junior IRGC officers becomes simple and brutal. The uniform is a liability. 20-plus Western-linked oil tankers have now been permitted passage through the strait. Someone in Tehran made that decision. Someone with enough situational awareness to understand that controlled concessions are preferable to complete collapse. That actor, whoever holds that thread of pragmatism inside a fracturing command structure, is the strategic variable the Trump administration is now working to identify and expand. Pete Hegseth used a specific phrase in his briefing: a more reasonable regime. That language is not accidental. 2,500 Marines, an amphibious assault ship named after the First Barbary War, USS Tripoli, Indian Ocean, named after the 1805 Battle of Derna, the first time American forces fought on foreign soil to protect shipping lanes from state-sponsored piracy. The historical symmetry is not subtle. 2,500 Marines now in theater. F-35Bs capable of operating from the flight deck. Special operations options that didn't exist 2 weeks ago. The B-52 doesn't operate in isolation. It prepares a battlefield. It suppresses. It clears. It opens corridors. What follows through those corridors is the question no IRGC commander wants to answer. The strategic architecture. What comes next? Space superiority running overhead. ISR satellites feeding real-time battle damage assessment into targeting cycles measured in minutes, not hours. Cyber operations running parallel to kinetic strikes. The electromagnetic spectrum contested at every layer. Iran's remaining options are narrowing to a decision point. The window is closing. Not because America is impatient, because the B-52 is now flying overland missions. The Marine Expeditionary Unit is positioned, and whoever controls what remains of Iranian command authority is watching their leverage evaporate, strike by strike. The off-ramp exists. It has existed since the first day. The question has always been whether the faction with enough pragmatism to take it also has enough power to enforce that decision internally. 32 days in, with launch rates down 90% and a stratofortress overhead, that question is about to get answered. What happens in the next 2 weeks? The B-52 has entered its operational phase. Not standoff, not cautious. Sustained overland missions, methodically eliminating missile plants, drone factories, remaining command infrastructure. The Marines are positioned. The fractures inside IRGC leadership are visible. This either concludes at the negotiating table, or the next regime gets the same offer the current one is failing to accept. Either way, the stratofortress doesn't leave until the mission is complete.